Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today we're talking with Omai Gold Mines, and I'm delighted to welcome their CEO and director, Mario Stifano, joining me today to talk about their project. So Mario, welcome to Assay TV. You've got a project down there in Guyana. You are working on the historic Omai Gold Mine, which I believe was a sort of a key part of Guyana's economy for several years while it was operating. What have you got there, and what are your plans for re-exploring around the site?
Well, thank you for inviting me on this. Look, we think Omai is going to be a very special company. We're going public in the next few weeks, and we're really excited about that. It's been a long process, as you know, to get companies listed, but this is well worth it. Omai was a former producing mine. It's actually owned by Cambior and OMG Gold, and it produced around 3.7, 3.8 million ounces at 1.6 grams. So a large mine, very high grade. It was mined as an open pit. But what was recognized by us and others as well is when Cambior / OMG Gold made the decision to shut down the mine, it was done because of economic reasons due to a very low gold price. And more importantly, it was done because OMG Gold had a new discovery in Suriname, right next door to Guyana. And they made the decision to move the mill from Omai to Suriname. And the reason for that is there was very little exploration done. They originally, Cambior outlined an initial resource around the 2 pits, and that was it. No more exploration. And our view is a lot of gold was left behind, and we're going to be able to show that to the market very soon once we commence drilling.
Mm-hmm. And so there are 2 pits there. I think it's Fennell and Wenot. What are your plans for drilling there then? So underneath Fennell, for example.
Oh, well, look, Fennell pit is very interesting and exciting. So OMG Gold / Cambior basically mined it to about the 200-meter depth, and then they hit this non-mineralized dike, and it was about 100 meters thick, and they stopped mining it. And they did, however, drill below the dike, and they drilled 46 holes, of which there were 41 intercepts of 31 grams per ton or greater, over a meter or greater, so very high grade below the pit, but it was never mined or touched. Internally, OMG Gold estimated a resource of 1.5 million ounces at 2.5 grams gold, or 2.5 million ounces at 4 grams gold, depending on the capping of the gold grade. Our view is when they estimate that resource, again, it's non-43101 compliant, but when they estimate the resource, they use 3-meter composites. So basically they did it as if it was an open pit below the pit, which is actually not the case. We see really high-grade structures below there, and the high-grade intercepts I mentioned previously demonstrate that this is a really high-grade ore body below the pit, and we're really excited to eventually get under there and drill it. At Wenot, same kind of circumstance. It was mined to about 190-meter depth, again about 1.7, 1.8 million ounces mined at Wenot, down to about 190-meter depth, but they never really drilled below the pit. Which is quite surprising because as you look at the drill hole data, particularly we actually got hold of all the blast hole data from OMG Gold, which is really valuable because what it showed us is there are 2 parallel high-grade structures that are running vertically, and no holes were drilled below that. However, subsequent to the shutdown of the mine, there were a couple of holes that were drilled that were ore grade, and then there was a couple of more holes that were drilled that were never assayed. And we actually were able to find the core. We got about 5,000 meters of core that we're able to recover because this asset went back to the Guyanese government, and we were able to get the core from the Guyanese government. And I was down there in February, and I looked at the core below the Wenot pit. I'm not a geo, I'm a finance background, obviously, but you know, sitting beside the geos and staying beside the geos, going through the core as they were logging it, it's pretty clear that it's mineralized. The question, of course, will be the grade. But it shouldn't be surprising because it's right below the structures. But it just demonstrates to us that Wenot continues to depth. And that's very exciting because we basically have these 2 pits that were mined high grade that continue to depth.
Is that core has it all been properly stored? Is it in good condition, and was it properly logged so you know where it came from?
Yes, actually, you know, funny enough, it was in great condition. Obviously, the boxes were not in great condition, but we were able to bring the core back to our facilities down at the Omai mine and rebox everything. And our geos, as we speak, are logging all the core. They just cut some core to send in for assaying. So I anticipate to start getting some assays sometime in the middle part of December from what was drilled below the Wenot pit. And that's, again, I think is going to demonstrate to the market that these ore bodies continue. And then, we'll get ready for in January to actually start drilling new holes, starting at Wenot. And then eventually we're going to start drilling some deeper holes at Fennell. And then the real exciting part, I think, because everybody loves new discoveries in blue sky. And I think this is one project that's really going to show the market that when IAMGOLD had this deposit in Cambior and discovered it, they really focused on the two pits. But subsequent to that, with Rosabelle and Marion in Suriname, and generally speaking, the Guyana Shield and on the Latin American side, you actually have multiple pits that are mineralized. So these are not one big super pit, like Rosabelle of 15 million ounces of gold in resources, what was mined and what's currently there, was not one big super pit. These were multiple pits. So along strike from Wenot is all mineralized. We can see it from the Google Maps. We can see it from all the workings. At Fennell, there's a high priority target just east of Fennell that's really important to me. We call it Broccoli Hill. And again, I'm not a geologist, but sometimes we look at things at a very high level. And IAMGOLD drilled some holes just east of Fennell, almost in a vertical line, but it was very shallow holes. And this Broccoli Hill from the geophysics appears to be a different structure. So it looks like they should have went a little bit further east and a little bit deeper, and they may have potentially started to see some holes, mineralized holes. There is some historical auger drilling there that was ore grade, very shallow, down to about 20 meters, 30 meters, but it was ore grade. And we can see some old workings. And as you know, when you're in Latin America, the best indicator of where there is gold is using the artisanal miners. And there definitely is quite a bit of artisanal mining at Broccoli Hill. So we're pretty excited here because not only do we have Fennell and Wenot, we actually think we're going to have multiple targets to continue looking for gold on this structure that we have here at Omai.
And it's amazing that, you had so much work done for you prior to acquiring the project, pointing you in the right direction.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
So how are you funding this, all this drilling you're going to do?
Well, we're one of the lucky few companies out there that we're very well backed by two strong companies. Silvercorp owns just under 16% of us, and Sandstorm owns about 10% of us. We have about $4.5 million US in treasury. So we're really well financed to really go after this aggressively in terms of a drill program for 2021. So I'm really excited. I'm chomping at the bit to get this turning, because I think, very quickly the market's going to recognize that this is a big district, and potentially, again, it could become a world-class high-grade gold deposit, whether it's open pit or underground or a combination of the two. But I just don't know many juniors out there that are starting up. We don't have any 43101 compliant resources as we speak, but I just don't know any other junior that has the quality of drilling below existing ore bodies that have never been mined that we do. To give you another sense of what's sitting there, when IAMGOLD made the decision to move the mill to Suriname, well, sitting below the mill per their internal estimates was about 300,000 ounces of gold. And again, that was all shallow drilling. And when they were making a decision what to do, they felt, moving the mill and keeping it at Omai was less economic than just moving the mill to Suriname, where they had this big discovery in Suriname. But when they decided to move the mill, there was still 300,000 ounces of gold sitting there that was never mined or touched. And this thing is wide open on strike to the west. And we think as we continue to drill this on strike, we're going to continue to find mineralization. And the other thing, and you can tell I'm getting a little bit excited about what the potential here is. It appears that as well, the sediments are mineralized. And when Cambior was looking at this in IAMGOLD, they never really looked in the sediments. And to the south of Wenot, the sediments appear to be mineralized. Now, whether they're ore grade or not, that will be determined by drilling. But if there is potential for the sediments to be mineralized, well, that really changes the dynamics of the Wenot pit, because not only can you extend it to depth, but you can also widen the pit, which effectively adds more ore and reduces the strip ratio.
It's very fortunate for you, really, that IAMGOLD made that big discovery down in Suriname. Otherwise, they wouldn't have left this big thing behind.
Exactly. If they did not discover Rosabelle, and it was Cambior that first discovered it, if they did not discover Rosabelle and turned their attention to that, they probably would be mining Omai today. I'm pretty convinced of that, just by the quality of targets that we're seeing geophysically. Of course, we got to get on the ground. Never assume just because something looks good on geophysics that it's a real target. But when you match the geophysics with structural geology, then eventual boots on the ground, which is stream sediment sampling, sampling, and if there's any outcrops, there's in this case there is a lot of cover, so it's hard to find outcrops. But the alluvial miners have done a lot of the work for us to try and expose targets. So when you match all that together, we're pretty confident that we have a lot of targets here that need to be drilled. And if a few of these pan out, which we expect they will, I think the market's going to recognize that this again could be another type of Rosabelle or Marion. And I want to point out our VP of exploration is Dennis Lapointe, and Dennis is probably considered one of the key experts in Guyana and the Guyana Shield for these kind of deposits. And Dennis is the individual who actually discovered Marion, which is Newmont's project in Suriname, and it's producing 500,000 ounces today as we speak. So Dennis knows this area extremely well, has made major discoveries, actually worked at Omai, worked at Marion, obviously, worked at Rosabelle. So he knows this area extremely well. So we have one of the strongest geological teams, I think, in the Guyana Shield to really advance this project. And that's really important.
Fantastic. And you also, as you mentioned, you're just listing on the TSX. You've got an interesting stock code there. The Omai Gold allows you to have OMG as your stock code.
Yeah, that was a great coup on our part. OMG. So we'll be using that as a key tag for us. Oh my God, look what we hit. Oh my God, look at all that gold. OMG. It is a great symbol, and I think it's one of those symbols that no one will ever forget when you mention it to them for the first time. So I think it's a great symbol, and I just can't wait for this to start trading, because I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand for this stock. And then I think, once we start drilling and demonstrating that there is more here, not only at depth and on strike, but then new targets, I really think this is going to be the premier exploration company in the Guyana Shield.
So you'll start drilling in January, you say, and when would you expect to start having some news flow coming out?
Look, it's always hard to say with COVID. Hopefully by January things are a little bit more under control. But I think right now it's a bit of a wild card. But I would anticipate within 2 months of the commencement of drilling, you should start having some regular news flow on the drill results coming out. 3 weeks for assaying, and if a month of drilling, so it'll probably take about 2 months, I would anticipate.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing how that goes for you, and best of luck in all your efforts. Great to speak with you today, Mario.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to speak to you at any point in time.